So, hello, dear students. Now, today again, we will be moving ahead in this chapter number 3, that is fiber to fabric. So, here we would study today about the process of the fiber to fabric. Okay, means what is the process? So, here I am just writing the heading today, process of fiber to fabric. Okay, now if you see the process here, the process is just like this. First, from the fiber we make yarn, and then out of yarn we make the fabric. That is cloth. Okay, so this is the process. So first we would study about cotton first. Okay, so first we are going to study about the cotton. Means how do we process the cotton and how do we make fabric out of cotton, so that we would study first. Okay, so let's study. Now if you see, you have the cotton plants, cotton tree. Okay, so these cotton plants, let's say this is the cotton plant. Okay, so this cotton plant would be having the bolls. These are known as the cotton bolls. These are basically the fruits of the cotton plant. These are the fruits of the cotton plant. So these fruits are known as bolls. So these are basically what? These are the bolls known as cotton bolls. Okay, so then what do? We just pick these cotton bolls. Okay, then we dry them up. Then after if they have been dried properly, then they are just going to be dispersed. And when they just, like, let's say this is the cotton ball. Okay, so when it will disperse, then we are having the cotton from inside there. Okay, then we would have the cotton like this from that. Okay, so then what do? That is still there. There are seeds inside the cotton bolls. Okay, so when the cotton bolls are dispersed, when they are dried up, so from there we are getting the cotton, and inside this there is a seed. You can see seed. Now these seeds are also to be removed. Now how do we remove these seeds? Then there comes the process of what do we call the combing. That is the process of combing. Under this process, we just comb the cotton. This, like this, the cotton, we just comb it, and with the help of combing, these seeds are separated out. Okay, so when these seeds are separated out, then we have the cotton like this. We have the different fibers of cotton like this is how we just comb it. Okay, so this is how we have the different fibers of the cotton. These are also called the lint. What do we call them? Lints. So then what do? Then after, when these lints have been prepared, means we have combed the cotton, then later what do? We just press these lints are to be pressed now, because the cotton is having very huge volume. Suppose you have this much amount of cotton here, so you can press it, and you can make a small what you call, say, small what do we call it, small bundle out of that. Okay, so this process is known as baling. So under the process of baling, what do? These lints or these fibers of the cotton are pressed together to make small bales like this. Okay, small bales means huge amount of cotton. Then these cottons are to be pressed. This cotton is to be pressed. Then we make a small bundle out of that. Then these bundles are to be transported into the factories. Then, so when these bundles, like this kind of bundles we are making, and later on these bundles are to be transported to the factories. And when these bundles go to the factories, then out of these bundle we make the yarn is what? Yarn is just the thread. Okay, how do we make the thread? Like, these are the cotton fibers, so we just spin these cotton fibers. We just keep them spinning, then out of that we make a thread out of that. Like, this is the thread. Okay, so this is the thread made about of many of the cotton fiber. So many of the cotton fiber, like at home we make this we use this for lighting purposes in the diya. So there is also cotton. So these cotton fibers are there. What do? We just are they are to be spun. So when we just spin them, then later on these after spinning, we make a yarn out of this. So this is the yarn. Are you getting it? So in the factories, So there we do it by the machines. Okay, so with the help of the machines, these yarns or these lints are to be spun. Then later when they have been spun, then later on we make the yarn out of them. Then later on when we made the yarn in the factories, then out of these yarn, with the help of process weaving and knitting, we make the fabric. Okay, so this is the total process about the cotton. So let's write this. How do you make the notes now? How will you make the notes? So let me write it here. So this is the total process which I have taught you right now. Okay, so what is the first process? At the first you have the cotton balls, and through the cotton balls you just pick out the cotton from there, and then later you comb it. Okay, so first is the process of combing, also known as ginning. This is also called ginning. So under this process, here I am writing, under this process, the cotton is to be combed, to separate out seeds from it. So means from the cotton we just separate the seed. Okay, then we make the simple lint out of that. Okay, so this is the process of combing. Okay, then later on when this process is done, then later on we make what do we do? Then later on there comes to the process of baling. Then the next process is baling. So baling is what? You have bulk amount of cotton now. Okay, you have bulk amount of cotton, but if like suppose you have this much bulk amount of cotton, so it is necessary to be pressed now to be transported into the factories, because if the bulk amount of cotton you are just transporting it to the factories, then the cost will be more. Okay, so it will be more costlier then. So to make it cheaper, we just press these cotton and we make the bale, or we make the bundle out of that. Okay, so here what do we do? So here just we what do we do? The lint or cotton fibers. Lint means the cotton fiber. Lint or the cotton fibers are to be pressed to make bundles. Okay, then later on these bundles are transported into the factories, and later these bundles are transported into factories where we will make yarn out of that. Okay, so this is the process of baling. So that was the second one. Now we would study the third process, that is known as the spinning. So let me write the third process here. Spinning. So spinning is what? Spinning is basically the process of making yarn out of cotton lint, that is fiber. Okay, so under this process yarn is to be made out of cotton fiber, also called lint. Okay, so out of the cotton fiber we make the thread. So yarn is what? Yarn is basically the thread. So under this process, yarn is to be made out of cotton fiber. So how do we make this? We made this by different various means, like various machines we use. Previously we were using takli for spinning, for making the yarn out of that. Okay, but later on after the discovery of the charkha, so we just used to spin the cotton with the help of charkha. Okay, and this charkha became very important during the freedom struggle of Mahatma Gandhi, and it became it became an icon at that time, the charkha. Okay, so and it was used to boycott the foreign goods. We were using we were producing the we were spinning the home spun yarn. Okay, homespun yarn was spun during those days with the help of the charkha, and it was used to boycott the foreign goods. Later you would study this in your SST class. Okay, so but right now only this much you have to know, that spinning under this process, yarn is to be made out of cotton fiber, and this can be done, and this can be done using various means. Like previously we were using takli for that. Previously takli was used to spin. Previously takli was used to spin. Later charkha was used to spin, and this charkha became very important during the freedom struggle of Mahatma Gandhi. So this also you can write, and this charkha became important during the freedom struggle of Mahatma Gandhi, and it was used to boycott the foreign goods, and it was used to boycott the foreign goods. Means we were using the charkha, and with the help of the charkha we were producing the homemade yarn. Okay, and with the help of this we were making the homemade clothes, like khaki was became popular during those days. Okay, so it was used to boycott the foreign goods, so that we could not buy the foreign clothes, etc. Okay, so that is why this charkha was used for that. Okay, so this is the third process, that is known as spinning. Now comes the process that is weaving. So let's move to weaving. That would be the fourth process, weaving. So weaving is what? So finally with the help of weaving we make fabric. Means the cloth we make, the fabric we make out of with the help of weaving. So weaving is what? Weaving is just basically it is interlocking the yarn. Like suppose some yarn are there horizontal, this horizontal one yarn, and some we just attach to it some vertical yarn. So this is basically this is the process of weaving. So this is just interlocking the horizontal and vertical yarn together to make fabric out of that. So this process is known as weaving. Okay, so here you should write, yeah, right there, putting two sets of yarn together is known as weaving. So write this, putting two sets of yarn together is known as weaving. So putting two sets of yarn together is known as weaving. Okay, so for weaving you need two sets of yarn. Are you getting? Just like the net like structure is made here with the help of the what these are the vertical yarn, and some would be there the horizontal one. With the help of these two horizontal and vertical one we are making the fabric out of that. So this process is known as weaving. Okay, so then comes the process of knitting. Knitting is what? Knitting is, and this process can be done by using the hand looms or power looms. Okay, so here you should write this also. This process can be done using looms, such as power loom, or you are using their hand loom. So these are used to weave or to make the net-like structure or to make the fabric out of the yarn, okay, that we have produced in the factories. Okay, then later comes the process, that is the fifth one, that is knitting. Knitting means we take a single yarn, and then just we just with the help of that single yarn, we just keep knitting, we make a cloth using the simple yarn. Okay, so when you will pull out this single yarn, the whole cloth, the whole fabric will be dispersed then. Okay, like suppose you have a single yarn, with the piece of single yarn you have just make a fabric like this, that is the cotton, woolen cloth, whatever you are making with the piece of single yarn. So as you just pull out this single yarn, this whole you can say whatever the fabric is there, this whole will be dispersed then. Are you getting this? So this process is called the knitting. So the difference between the knitting and the weaving is that in the process of weaving, we take two sets of yarn and we just interlock them like this. Okay, but in the process of knitting, we take a single yarn and with the help of single yarn we make the fabric. Okay, so here you can see there, under knitting, single yarn is used to make a fabric. Under knitting, single yarn is used to make a fabric. Here we are using a single yarn to make a fabric, and can be done by hands also, just we knit by hands also, and can be done with the help of machines also, and can be done by hands as well as by machine. So this is the process of knitting. Okay, so if you are asking the basic difference between weaving and knitting, so you can write this, the difference between, so right here, the basic difference between weaving and knitting, is that under weaving we use two sets of yarn and we just interlock them. Okay, that under weaving, two sets of yarn are used to make fabric. Okay, whereas in the case of knitting, a single yarn is used to make a fabric. So you can write this also, whereas in case of knitting, a single yarn is used to make fabric. So this is the basic difference between knitting and weaving. So this is the process of making fabric from the cotton fiber. So we have read here the 5 steps. With the help of these 5 steps, we are making the cotton fabric. Okay, then see you in the next lecture.